The Dani Johnson Show is here to help you.
We want to see your economy thrive.
Helping you focus and set your priorities.
And you can do this by learning the skill sets, the strategies, and the mindsets of 2% of the population.
The Dani Johnson Show. Listen closely.
What are your weaknesses? What are your greatest strengths? And what are your weaknesses?
Learn how to make the most out of your strengths in this life and how to grow in the direction that is best for you and your family. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to The Dani Johnson Show. We're very blessed that you decided to join us today on The Dani Johnson Show every single day of the week on your local station where you are hearing this right now, as well as on our website. We tackle the topic of success, and we redefine it each and every day because there's been a picture that has been painted to both you and me that is completely false. Such crazy and ridiculous expectations that cannot be met by any human, certainly not on planet Earth. And I don't know about you, but have you ever noticed that however which things are going on inside of your marriage relationship, that covenant marriage relationship, that it has an impact on the finances as well as your career? Your work life is impacted by whatever seems to be going on inside of your marriage relationship and or even with the kids. Well, you see, success, when I first started learning about it, I had grown up in a violently abusive home on welfare. I was pregnant at 17. I was a homeless woman at 21, met and married a guy that I knew for only 7 days. And I had bought this whole Disneyland idea about marriage, right? That I kissed this frog, he turned into a prince, and now I'm going to live happily ever after. Well, I was 21 years old, and I thought I had encountered that thing. I thought I had encountered that fantasy, that lottery ticket, if you will, for marriage. And off I went, off to Canada to marry a man that I did not know. And within 30 days, he had cheated with his best friend's wife, and they had only been married for 2 weeks. Within another couple of months, I found myself homeless with $2.03 to my name, a $35,000 debt of which he racked up the credit cards for me. Awesome. He had no credit, he had no money, but boy, was he good at trying to sell me a story that somehow he was in money and he had all these businesses and he had all these wonderful things that were on its way. Just that, they just hadn't transacted yet. And here I bought it hook, line, and sinker, and then get a phone call. He lets me know that he had gone off to Japan to work with a business idea that he had, and he had an investor. And while he was there, he decided to move in with some blonde model. Yeah, and said, "You're on your own, kid." I'm like, what exactly does that mean? I quickly found out that meant that, my bank account was gone. My credit cards were maxed out. I had no way to pay for rent, and I became a homeless woman in the month of December, that time of year where it's supposed to be full of merry and joy and parties. Yes, I was a homeless woman. And I was drowning, not only in sorrow and despair, but in debt and drugs and alcohol, as well as all kinds of sexual immorality. I was sleeping around. I was certainly the town whore, and certainly not proud of those facts, but that is where I was. And so obviously my mind was a bit tainted concerning marriage, but man, it was incredible how this thing fell apart for my marriage, and now my business was completely falling apart, and I was embezzled at the same time. Thankfully, I heard a voice tell me to pick up my mat and walk, and I did so. And I started a business from the trunk of my car in a payphone booth. In my very first 45 days in business, I generated $18,000 in income, which was far more than I was making as a cocktail waitress. And then from there, I made $250,000 my first year, and I made my first million at the end of my second year. I was 23 years old by the time all of this had happened. Today, a multimillionaire, international best-selling author and speaker, 5 children, 7 grandchildren. Do I have a perfect life? No. Not at all. And why do we do this show? Because there are some major fallacies concerning success. And one of them that I bought a long time ago was, if I just believe, then everything's always going to be wonderful. And that if I meet the right people, then I will always be successful. And I'm never going to have a bad day. And everything's always going to go great. And as long as I follow this formula, everything's always going to work out. Well, I hate to tell you, life and success is filled with all kinds of pitfalls and failures, tsunamis, traumas, heart attacks, nervous breakdowns, all kinds of stuff. And every day you and I are faced with choices on how we will respond to the current circumstances that are in front of us, and what wise choices will we make, and what things do we need to learn so that we don't A, repeat the same mistake again, but B, so that we are made stronger, more wise, more fortified, and more peaceful moving forward for the next trauma that's coming. You know, I believe that disasters are much like the weather. Depending on what part of the world you live in. Well, if you live anything like in Texas, the weather here is a bit schizophrenic. It really is, man. In the morning, it could be 40 degrees, but by noon, it could be 85. It's just the way that it is. Some days it's freezing cold during the winter. Other days, it feels like it's summer. So it depends on, I don't know how you see life, but I see things that come at us emotionally very much so like Texas weather or Chicago weather or, you know, somewhere subtropical kind of weather where it's just moody, if you will. And we all have to learn how to deal with those changes of season and changes of weather and different things that happen in our lives, right? Giving birth, having babies, to adolescence, it's different season, to what? To, the teen years, to the adult years of your kids, that your kids are now adults and they get married and they bring people home and oh my gosh, you know, all these crazy things that happen. At the end of the day, success has got to include healthy relationships in the midst of a toxic world that we're in, because those relationships at home really do make a difference in our earning power and in our work life, as well as our community life. It makes a difference of our spiritual life, our emotional life, our mental life, our physical life. And so every day on the Dani Johnson Show, we're tackling one particular area of your life and redefining success in that area, because those areas bleed into other areas. So one of the areas we're going to talk about today is concerning your relationship, your intimate, significant relationship with that significant other, i.e. your wife or your husband. And if they're not your wife and your husband, maybe you should think about making them your wife or your husband, or you need to think about maybe breaking it off. But let's tackle this, because if you're single, this show actually applies to you. I think you're going to learn something about false expectations, and maybe you might be believing in the idolatry of marriage, and that idolatry of marriage actually could set you up for failure in finding your mate, and once, or not, like never finding that mate, or that once you do, you fall in the same pit that the rest of us has fallen into with these false hopes, these false expectations of something that is absolutely just not the norm, that is absolutely not even close to what it is supposed to be. So where did you get your idea of marriage, right? Was it from your parents? Was it from Disney? I think most of us, through all of the media that we watched as kids, the music we listened to, the books that we read, the stories that we heard, as well as this. Last night, I'm posting a bunch of pictures on Facebook of our family. We had just had our friend here in our studio, John, is a photographer also on the side, and he took some pictures. I had all 5 kids at the home, all in the same day. Miraculous. And all 7 kids in the home all on the same day. So right away, I'm like, this is a moment we have to get a family photo. And we did. So I was posting a bunch of them yesterday on Facebook. And I didn't want anyone to get the wrong idea. You see this picture of us, and as I was looking at this picture of us, you see everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, my husband is cuddling with me, right? Everything looks wonderful. And I know I have fallen in the trap that when we see a married couple, we see their family, you know, one of a couple of things goes off in our head. One of it is, oh, they look so happy. Well, of course they do. They're smiling for a family picture. Duh. Right? And we begin to imagine what we think their relationship is like. We begin to kind of fantasize, and if we don't have that relationship that we're fantasizing about, then we feel like, gosh, did I marry the wrong person? Am I ever going to be happy? Am I ever going to be fulfilled? Is this ever going to work? Am I ever going to be like them? Or you look at that picture and you think it's completely hopeless, that they got lucky, you didn't, and now you have to dredge and through this lifestyle of what? Pain and suffering until death do us part. I've been there. I've looked at that. And that's why when I posted these pictures, I said, don't get the wrong idea. We are far from a perfect family. We are far from a perfect marriage. We have messed up countless times, and we continuously make mistakes. We are human beings. We have a few tools that we have that help us to move through the hard stuff, because life has hard stuff in it. And you and I were designed to succeed At the end of the day, as long as we don't quit, we're going to come out on the other side of this thing. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's wonderful and blissful, and sometimes it's like the season I'm walking through right now, where it is challenging. It is absolutely challenging, and there's new territory, new terrain that we are not familiar with, that we're trying to walk on and work out and figure out. Very different having adult kids versus the kids that are in your home that you have authority over. And hey, these are the rules, and if the rules aren't followed, there's consequences. The choice is yours. What would you like, consequences or blessing? That's all yours, babe. But yeah, so throughout our lives, and in fact, I want you to look at this too, that we have expectations on a lot of things in life. I remember when I started in business, and I started learning about succeeding. I don't know, for some reason, I thought that once I bought this business that bam, I'm going to be successful just because I started a business, that somehow I'm going to be successful. No, and I think it is the same for marriage for many of us, that, we're going to get married and bam, everything's going to be great. We're going to be happy. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be flowers and, breakfast in bed and lots of wonderful sex and no problems. We literally have this kind of false picture, this false expectation. Then we exchange vows and bam, the reality comes. And unfortunately, too many people quit in the midst of the journey. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, finances is the reason why people end up quitting. And then in some other cases, because of all that frustration and the expectations not being met and the wrong expectations of what? Heaven, right? Being married to Jesus Christ. Hello? No, being married to a perfect person that will never have a bad day, married to a person that will never, ever, look at you cross-eyed, say something wrong. They're never going to have a hormonal moment and have a bad attitude. But no, that somehow we think that we marry this person, it's going to be perfect forever and ever and ever. And for the rest of your life, you're going to feel like the day you exchange vows. There couldn't be something further from the truth. So we're going to poke the holes and look at the reality picture so you know where to set your expectations correctly so that you don't set yourself up for anger or rage or malice or vengeance or self-destruction, but that you set yourself up for success by having a realistic picture of what it actually really is. I have never met a marriage yet that doesn't have challenges. And when I actually go through the best success book ever written, there isn't a single relationship in that Bible that was perfect. Not a single one. Not a single family that did not have what we call today dysfunctional. You might have a biblical family and not even know it. We're going to be taking your call a little bit later concerning what was the picture sold to you for marriage and what was the reality. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue after this.
Good people bring out the good in people. And you're sharing great moments with thousands of good people right now. There's more of the Dani Johnson Show coming up. Stay here.
If you're a Christian who's paying too much for healthcare, you're going to love Medi-Share. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. It's affordable. Families average around $300 a month, and it's accepted by America's largest network of health providers. Plus, the healthcare law has a special provision for Medi-Share members, so you're exempt from any tax penalties. But here's the best part. Medi-Share is based on the timeless principles found in God's Word. You never have to pay for things that go against your beliefs. Medi-Share is healthcare the way God meant it to be.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your healthcare. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medi-Share, affordable biblical healthcare. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
Cooking healthy, simple, and inexpensive is a key part to saving money. I know how hard it is to meal plan, and it takes a lot of time. This is why you need Emails. Emails does meal planning for you. They send you written plan every week that is easy to stick to so that you buy only what you need and you save a lot of money. Emails has a team of culinary professionals and clinical dietitians who create new plans for you with healthy and delicious recipes every week. Email plans are based on food styles like clean eating, paleo, diabetic, and slow cooker. The average Emails user saves $1,000 on groceries without using the kind of money-saving tips that I teach you. What's not to love about that? Emails.com makes healthy cooking at home simple and inexpensive. You need to get emails in your life today. Go to emails.com using the promo code DANI. That's DANI for a special discount. You're going to love me for this. Go to emails.com.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you know me at all, I don't want you to spend a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and accept credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin Sykes at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He is so confident that he can save you money, he'll actually pay you $100. Listen, if you accept credit cards, check it out. Call 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. Guarantees he'll save you money or pay you $100. No risk. So why wait? Call today. It's quick to change from your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani told you to call. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709 or visit them at prestigemerchantsolutions.com. Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
Unrealistic expectations will always set you up for failure. Just sorry to tell you the truth, friend. That's the facts. Unrealistic expectations will always set you and I up for failure. And so we are going to poke the holes in the unrealistic expectations that you and I both had about marriage. Success redefined in your marriage. Why? Because if your expectations in your marriage was nothing but roses and everything is wonderful and everything's going to be easy and everything's going to be great, no one's ever going to have a bad day, yeah. When that one day comes, when that bad attitude comes, come on, all of a sudden, bam, our whole vision is shattered and now we're upset. Now we're angry. You see, anytime you venture out in any kind of partnership, life partner, business partner, financial partnership, whatever which way that you're going to do, you must always take into account the realistic expectations. Once you do that, then you can make a solid and sound decision. So if you're single, today's the show to be listening to. If you're married, today's the show to be listening to and interacting with us. The number, by the way, is 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We want to hear what your expectations were prior to marriage, then what was the reality, and then how did you fix it? How are you working that stuff through? Or if you need help working that stuff through, I'm certainly not an expert in that, but I think that together, two heads are better than one. There's some things that I've had to walk through that I would never want somebody else to walk through, and I've learned some lessons through that. And hopefully I can help you in any way in that area, or just even listening to the other callers and hearing what they've been able to do, the different strategies they've used, things that they've had to walk away from, things that they've had to learn. That's going to help all of us today. That's what I love about working with you every single day on this program, is that we get to help each other. All right, so we're going over to line 2. We've got Nikita from Canada. Nikita, what was your expectations in marriage prior to getting married? What were your expectations, and then what was the reality?
My expectations were pretty unrealistic. I thought it was going to be cuddles on the couch and coffee dates every day, and I actually thought that my husband's porn addiction would stop.
So your husband had a porn addiction before you got married?
Yes.
What made you think that the porn addiction would stop once you got married?
Because we would finally be able to have sex.
Wow.
And
so you thought he had the porn addiction because he wasn't having sex with you?
Yeah, and also before we started dating, he really started to try to tackle it, and so he was already taking steps to conquer it.
Yeah.
But so I was like, oh, okay, well, I can help with that, you know. And yeah, it didn't necessarily happen that easily.
Yeah.
For us, we were 3 months married. We've been married for 3 years now. But we were 3 months married, and I got called away to another province to help my family through some things, and I was only a week gone, and he just got so stressed out with our financial situation and me being gone that he reverted back to that, and I reached a place where I was like, I do not want to go back.
Yeah.
I want to stay here with my family and just leave.
Yeah.
I was done because it was like it felt awful.
Yeah.
And so I was like, God, you need to give me something. This is ridiculous. I'm thinking of quitting 3 months in.
Wow.
This isn't what I signed up for, you know, whatever. And he said to me, I know it's hard, but I'm walking through this with you to help your testimony to reach other people. It's not for you.
Wow.
I know it sucks, but it's you're going to help somebody else.
Wow. Okay, so Nikita, I got to dig a little bit deeper in this. Now we only have about 30 seconds before I cut to a break. How did it feel to find out that your husband was back in pornography? How did it make you feel as his wife?
I felt like he cheated on me.
Yep.
It was like utter betrayal is what it felt like.
Yep.
And
a lot of people don't understand that. I know it is. A lot of people don't understand it, that is really what it is. You know, Jesus said that if you even look upon another woman, you've already committed adultery with her. If you look upon her in that way, in that lustful way, obviously pornography is looking upon a woman in a lustful way. And so that's why us women feel like we've been cheated on. Adultery has been committed against us. We've been betrayed. When we continue, we're going to hear more about how Nikita moved through it. It's been 3 years. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Whatever hurt, pain, trial, or situation you're fighting, you've come to the right place. You are not alone. Stay tuned for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here, but we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you love to cook, but you hate planning, you'll love emails. Emails completely removes the pressures of planning healthy and budget-friendly meals. Every week, your emails plan comes straight into your inbox with easy recipes and a shopping list. Then all the ingredients you need for yummy meals are already in the house after you go to the grocery store. And you could save an average of $1,000 this year. Emails.com makes healthy cooking inexpensive and simple. Go to emails.com and use the promo code DANNY for that exclusive discount.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
If only I had married the right person. Gosh, how did I make the wrong mistake 2 times in a row? That's exactly what I was saying to myself shortly after I exchanged vows with now my second husband. He was really young, so was I. Really young. In fact, my husband was 18 when we got together. I was 22. And I didn't want a third kid out of wedlock. I just didn't. So I decided to get married. And I knew in the back of my head it wasn't going to work. But I didn't want a third kid out of wedlock. And yet here I was a month into being married again. And now I already wanted out. That was all on me. That was all on me. I turned into a terrible, bitter woman during that first year of marriage. In fact, for 2 years, I was verbally horrific against my husband. Terrible, evil things that I would say to his face, writing him even in letters, screaming at him. And it had nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with all the pain and suffering I had when I was young. Now, what's so interesting is that we have this idea that if we marry the right person, then we're going to have the right marriage. I'm sorry to tell you, here on the Dani Johnson Show, this is about success being redefined. That couldn't be a bigger lie. No, it's not about you're not going to marry the right person. That doesn't mean don't pick well, but marrying the right person does not mean you're going to have the right marriage. You have to be the right person. You have to go about the relationship in the right way. There is a lot of strategy and a lot of skills that have to be learned in order to succeed in marriage. And marriage success really helps with business and finance success as well. Whenever that marriage relationship is a disaster, everything outside of that marriage relationship also can be a disaster, and in most cases is a disaster if you are not able to move through the challenges that you have there. And one of them is exposing the unspoken expectations that are clearly unrealistic. I have been totally guilty of that again and again. Unrealistic expectations in your marriage relationship, in any friendship, in any business, in any financial relationship is only a path of disaster. So you've got to define for you, what does success look like specifically in marriage for you? What does it look like? What do you want to see in your marriage? Don't just dream about it, but we've got to verbalize it and determine, is this unrealistic? Am I setting myself and my partner up for failure or not? Well, in this case, Nikita from Canada just called in and she was sharing that she thought and expected that marriage was going to be coffee dates every day, cuddling on the couch, and his porn addiction would go away. Totally unrealistic expectations here that somehow if when they got married, the porn would not be there any longer. Well, come to find out, 3 months into the marriage, porn came alive again. Nikita felt cheated on, which is an absolute fact amongst women whose husbands are involved with pornography. We feel like we've been betrayed. We feel like there is another woman. And those are real emotions that are very true because he has. I know I just made somebody mad, but the best success book ever written said, and it says in the New Testament where Jesus said, if you look upon a woman with lust, you have already committed the sin. You have already committed adultery with her. And this is when he drew the line in the sand, right? He was, those who were like, they were saying, I haven't done anything bad. No, first, every act is conceived in our mind. First it's in the mind, then it's the heart, then our actions follow. So it's just a matter of time before it now becomes a physical with another person relationship. And I know I made you mad, but the studies prove it. All right, so Nikita, so here you are, you feel betrayed, you're at your parents' house, you don't want to go back home, and you have this revelation that this is happening to you so that one day you can help others. It's not just about you and your hurt and your feelings, but it was about that God was going to help walk you through this so that you could get to the other side and you could be a voice of truth to help other women. So it's now been 3 years. So that obviously gave you some hope, right? And that gave you some courage that don't have a pity party, right? The expectations have been blown, but now what? Like, what was the next step in the healing process of the relationship?
Well, it was my husband realized how much that it hurt me. He saw that my heart was just broken, and he decided he never wanted to do that to me again. And so he actually got a friend, and they went through the book Every Man's Battle.
Yep.
And he hasn't had a problem for 2 years.
Wow. Wow. So you forgave him. You obviously confronted the issue, and you chose to forgive him for this pain, for this offense, for this hurt that was awful. And so in that process of forgiveness, I believe that it's forgiveness that causes somebody to walk out in repentance. Do you know what I mean? And that's what caused your husband to go, oh my gosh, she's forgiven me. She's not leaving me. She's not abandoning me here. But she has forgiven me for this. And that caused him to want to go and get help. And so that's awesome. Yeah. So expectations now of marriage would be what?
Communicate. If something's going wrong, like we go, okay, hold on a sec. We need a moment. And parenting's actually taught us to communicate better with each other.
Yeah, you have to.
We've got a little 1-year-old, and communicating with him is, it's very basic. And so we need to. We have committed to not assume the worst in each other.
Yeah.
And so if I am hurt, I actually have to say out loud, he did not intend to hurt me.
Yep.
And then
that's really good.
That kind of nuisance of a voice that's trying to convince me he meant to, it just disappears.
That's awesome.
And so then we can tackle the issue, and I confront him by saying, okay, I know you probably didn't mean to hurt me, but this is how I feel.
Yep. Yeah. Man, that's really good, Nikita, because that's very true. And it is important. And many of us, no matter who we are, the wife or the husband, we can get into our head that this person is purposely, pointedly, intently trying to hurt. And the fact is no, that person loves you. And we have to make the choice to stay on the same side as them and to say, come on. And so what I'm hearing you say too is that your expectation of marriage now is to give what you want to receive. So if you unintentionally hurt your husband, right, which you do, we all do it, right? And it's not like you woke up that day going, I'm going to just slaughter that guy with everything that's in me, right? That's not what we do. Yeah. A husband doesn't wake up and go, gosh, I just want to just hurt that woman. That's not what happens. We love this person we exchanged vows with. And so, but holding that and holding true to that is saying, you know what? They love me. I love them. And this was an oversight. This is unintentional. This is not something in their heart that says, I want to hurt them. And so it's about, let's communicate what is hurting. And that creates the boundaries of like, can we just not go there? Can we just not talk about that? Can we just, you know what I mean? So it creates, communication rules, if you will, that both can abide by. And I appreciate you. You're 3 years young in a marriage, and you've already learned to give what you want to receive. That if and when the day is that you screw up really, 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 really bad, and you will have those days, that you want to receive forgiveness for that screw up. You want to receive unconditional love for that screw up, and you would want him to stand on the truth of, she loves me, and I know that she purposely, intently did not in a bad way try to hurt me. but that she is for me and not against me. And man, does that level the playing field altogether. Good job. Proud of you, girl. That's really, really, really important. Okay, we've got April in Florida. April, what was your expectations of marriage before you got married and then the reality?
I'm actually not married.
You're single. So what are your expectations of marriage? And where did they come from?
Well, they definitely changed over the past year. I was in a relationship for over 4 years. I'm a single mom, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to be a dad or not.
And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? I mean, that he was wise to look at his life and just say, I just don't know if I can raise somebody else's child. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Everyone has their own individual desires. That doesn't mean that he's a bad guy, that he's not ready to be a father. But I have a question for you, April. Before we cut to this break, I got this question for you. Were you sleeping with this guy in those 4 years?
Yes.
Ah, which complicates everything now, doesn't it, April?
Yes.
Yes. And now we've become very intimate. We've combined our flesh with another human, which made it one flesh. Now you have this expectation that he needs to be the father of your son.
We even got engaged. And,
Lord have mercy.
And he still wasn't sure.
Oh my gosh, girlfriend. Okay, hold the line. I got to get deeper into this story because again, we're out there like hoping that something's going to change, right? We are. It's like he's communicating. I'm not sure that I want to be a father. I'm not sure I want to be a father, but boy, you're pulling him in with that sex, girl. Come on, you know you want me as your wife. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more expectations poked. Let's talk about reality for life and success.
You can't be the old person you used to be and the new person you want to become. Let go of the past and hang on for what's new and exciting and about to come into your life. Stay tuned to The Dani Johnson Show. There's more to come.
If you know me at all, I don't want you to spend a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and accept credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin Sykes at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He is so confident that he can save you money, he'll actually pay you $100. Listen, if you accept credit cards, check it out. Call 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service, guarantees he'll save you money or pay you $100. No risk, so why wait? Call today. It's quick to change from your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani told you to call. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709 or visit them at prestigemerchantsolutions.com.
With all the changes happening in healthcare, Christians want to know, is there any option that's God-honoring, affordable, and acceptable under the law? The answer is Medishare. It's not insurance. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. Unlike individual insurance plans, which are now required to cover the morning after pill, your healthcare dollars never pay for things that go against your beliefs. There's no enrollment period, so you could sign up anytime. You choose your doctors from America's largest provider network. And yes, it's affordable. Family options average around $300 a month. Medishare is healthcare Christians can believe in.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
No excuses, just results. And now, back to more of The Dani Johnson Show.
You know, many times in my life, I've had, I don't know about you, but a lot of expectations that were not even spoken, right? They're just kind of in the back of my head. It's something that I'm hoping for or something that I think should happen a certain way. And unfortunately, my expectations have to do with other people, which means that now ties them into my expectations and that somehow they have to meet my expectations. And when they don't meet my expectations, not happy. Well, today, we're redefining success in marriage. Today, we are redefining that success because you and I have been sold a bag of dung. Did you hear me? Can you smell it? We've been sold a bag of dung concerning marriage. We have. Oh, yes, Disney, kiss the prince. Oh, yeah, everything's going to be wonderful. We're going to be tickling playing footsies together underneath the covers, and we're going to play hooky again and again and again and not show up to work, and somehow our bills are still going to be paid, and we're going to go on these incredible, endless romantic vacations, and everything's always going to be awesome. And yet, while you were dating, before you ended up married, all the signs were showing something else. That's exactly where April found herself in Florida. Yes, 4 years in a relationship with a guy who kept sending her signals that he wasn't ready to take on her son. She's a single mom, not ready to be a dad, not ready to be a dad, not ready to be a dad, but somehow secretly she was hoping he was going to change his mind. April, what were you thinking?
He kept saying it, but then his actions, he actually proposed in Disney World, actually.
Wow.
And so I thought, okay, well, he's going to change, and now he's changed his mind, but he kept saying, no, I'm not ready.
Wow.
So I did. I thought that, it's just going to be all fairy tales, and things are just going to magically get better. And we're going to get married, and it's going to be perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yep.
So then God finally told me, he said, you need to break up with him and you need to leave him. And so I did. And now my expectations are completely different for what I'm looking for.
And you're looking for clear communication, right? So, I mean, he was telling you he wasn't ready, but he was also trying to woo you, and love on you. I believe he loved you, but he wasn't ready to be a father. And again, that's nothing against the man. That's a good thing that he could communicate that and let you know up front. But isn't it incredible how we get it into our heads, especially those of us that believe in miracles and all that kind of stuff, sucker for good stories, that we think somehow that it's going to change, it's going to change, it's going to change. And it's just simply not going to change. So you didn't marry the guy, right?
Right.
And you left him, which is awesome. What is your expectation now for marriage?
Definitely looking for someone who's ready to be a dad.
Yeah.
And willing who wants to put God first in the marriage.
Yeah.
And work into it, not just, ignore everything.
The obvious white elephant in the middle of the room. What's your son's name?
Well, actually, I have twin daughters.
Oh my gosh. And that would be a disaster. How old are your girls?
They're 8.
They're 8. Okay, April, I want you to consider this, all right? You got 10 years left with your daughters, and that's it. You got 10 years left. You know what I'm going to say. You know exactly what I'm going to say, don't you? Why not wait? You're still going to be young. You still have your whole life ahead of you. You have 10 years. You're a single mom. Bringing another man into their life and them having to share their mother with another man. They already have a situation where they have to share. Do you know what I'm saying? But just pray about it. Consider not getting married until after they're gone. And you really just devoting your time to your daughters, and giving them the best possible life that you possibly can, and also informing them that, you know what, after you guys are grown and you're on with your own life, that will be the time where I will consider dating and perhaps get married one day. There's a lot of dynamics that happen when a single mom brings a man into the situation. So, something to think about. Something to pray about. You can keep your life pretty simple, staying single and raising your daughters. And I believe with my whole heart that God can turn that thing off inside of you that is lonely, and that he would love to fill that loneliness, that he would love to fill that void and satisfy you as a woman, as his daughter, and help to heal all the wounds that are inside because of the brokenness that happened, however which way that you're a single mom, right? There's brokenness involved in that. And I believe that he can heal that. I believe that he can make all of that whole in you so that we're not looking for a man to fill the need or fill the hole, but that we're really looking for a life partner that will co-labor in Christ together versus I need you to fill my need. And I need my needs filled as a mother. I need my needs filled as a wife. I need my needs filled as a daughter, because oftentimes we can do that in a marriage, is become dependent and codependent on somebody else. But just think about it. Just pray about it, that you're not taking time away from your girls to meet a guy or date a guy or entertain a guy and hopefully lassoing a husband. Lots of women have done it. And lots of women have waited until their kids are, men and women. My father-in-law waited until after his kids were grown. And once they were grown, God brought him a wonderful, wonderful wife and partner and an incredibly loving relationship. And they have been together for more than a decade now, and they have an incredible life together. I'm not saying everything's perfect, but I am saying that he honored his children in that way. And I'm not saying if you don't, you're not honoring your children, but that's a commitment he made to them, that he did not want to complicate their life by looking for a woman or bringing in a woman and having his heart split in another direction for another woman. And as soon as the youngest was grown and gone, he right away he met somebody and got married, and they travel around the country together. So anyway, something to think about, something to pray about. You're still going to be young, honey. You're still going to be young. You got your whole life ahead of you. I know you don't think like you will be, but I promise you, you will be. This is Dani Johnson. We're talking about false expectations in relationships, predominantly your marriage relationship. We've got to redefine success. You see, success has been painted to us by all those wonderful movies of boy meets girl and kiss and live happily ever after. Not. We love the romance and the wonderful picture of the wedding day, the dress, the flowers, the party, the hair, the makeup, the whatever. Man, we love that part. But oh, Lord have mercy. That is not what any of it is about. It is work. You got family issues. You got two families colliding together. If you have false expectations in any area in your life, you're only setting yourself up for failure. So this is really important to identify. And then how do we fix it? What should the expectations be? How and whatever the expectations are, what kind of skill sets do I need to do well in that commitment? What strategies do I need to do well in that commitment? See, if we just think boy meets girl, everything goes great, we're not prepared at all, and we lack the skills to manage life's problems, because there is life and there is problems. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue taking your call right after this.
Working to achieve happiness in life is not easy. Advice. Life stories from callers on the air. Solutions. A beacon of hope. Stay tuned for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Cooking healthy, simple, and inexpensive is a key part to saving money. I know how hard it is to meal plan, and it takes a lot of time. This is why you need Emails. Emails does meal planning for you. They send you written plan every week that is easy to stick to, so that you buy only what you need and you save a lot of money. Emails has a team of culinary professionals and clinical dietitians who create new plans for you with healthy and delicious recipes every week. Email plans are based on food styles like clean eating, paleo, diabetic, and slow cooker. The average Emails user saves $1,000 on groceries without using the kind of money-saving tips that I teach you. What's not to love about that? Emails.com makes healthy cooking at home simple and inexpensive. You need to get Emails in your life today. Go to emails.com using the promo code DANI, that's DANI, for a special discount. You're going to love me for this. Go to emails.com. You tell yourself that life isn't that bad. You relish the small pleasures. Drive-through coffee, big screen TV, vacations bought on credit cards. But that's as good as life gets unless you take a leap of faith. This is millionaire author, radio and television show host Dani Johnson, inviting you to join me for 2 days where you will acquire the skills to make the life you crave a reality. Call now 844-200-DANI or visit firststepstosuccess.com.
We all have questions.
What is it that hinders me, stopping me from getting to where I want to go?
Find the answers on The Dani Johnson Show.
You can't reach for anything if your hands are still full of yesterday's junk.
Keep moving forward with Dani Johnson.
So that you can get to the destiny that you're after. There is another way to live, my friend. There is.
This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show, where we are redefining success. Everyone has a destiny, and everyone's destiny is unique unto themselves. Just as the hairs on your head are numbered, your thumbprint, your thumbprint is your own. You own your own DNA. No one else on the earth is like you, and neither is the destiny that is set before you. And with your destiny comes a path of success to get there. But unfortunately, that path has been shaded, graffitied, all different types of ideas that you've been learning, hearing, different images that you have seen throughout your life that tells you what it's supposed to look like. Well, we're here to poke that sucker in the hole. We're here to set that poster on fire. And why? Because most of it's filled with a bunch of lies. That's why. You see, you've been taught that if you marry Mrs. Right, then everything's going to be great, or Mr. Right, then everything's going to be great. Lie. There's a reason why the vows say what they say, in sickness and in health, and richer or poorer. Hello, until death do us part. That should have been a sign right there. Because when boy meets girl, things are wonderful, things are blissful. The dating process is wonderful and blissful. The wedding day, some of it is blissful and wonderful. Yeah, no, but what challenges are you going to incur from that point forward? Hello? Sickness, perhaps, or good health. Riches, perhaps, or poverty. How we respond in those down times, those valleys, right? Those traumas, the hardships, the disagreements, the collision of thought processes, the collision of living together that comes together, not to mention the in-laws. Lord have mercy. Okay, all a collision. And how do we work it out? How do we work it out? So false expectations of marriage, where did they come from? Where did you get yours? What was your expectation of marriage? What was the reality? How have you been able to move through and get to the other side? We're going over to Bonnie in San Diego. Bonnie, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so before I got married, or when I got married, I was pretty sure that it was going to be a partnership, that no matter what went wrong, the better for worse, all that was really going to play into the marriage. Okay,
but hold on a second. What does a partnership mean, though? Let me just stop you right here. What does a partnership actually mean? Think about this. I got to tell you, I'm guilty of something. I have to tell you this because right when you said this, it's a partnership, and right away I went, a lot of people have an expectation of a partnership of do it my way.
True.
The partnership means that you are going to yield to me. The partnership means that I have this idea and you are going to support it. The partnership means that I want to go do X, Y, Z, and you have to come with me to do X, Y, and Z. I'm sorry to tell you the truth, but that's a lot of people's idea of a partnership.
Right.
Was it yours?
So, well, yeah, actually, a partnership, I thought we were going to work together, but then I found that it was mostly based on what he wanted to do.
But wait a second. It's what he wanted to do, but also, Bonnie, you had something you wanted to do.
I had a really good role model. My parents were married 54 years before my mom passed away, and they had told me that there's rough, so I really thought that it was a give and take.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it would be more giving than taking. I wanted something back until my tank just ran dry after 20 years, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Wow. So
I tried really hard, and I just couldn't do it anymore. It's you give and you follow and you do everything you can, and I just wanted somebody who would work through that.
Right.
And when times got really tough and we lost everything in bankruptcy and we had to walk away, my whole thing is we can rebuild this. We're smart people. We can really do this.
Yep.
And he wasn't willing. Instead, he just wanted to stand. I felt like I was drowning, and he was like pushing me under more, just trying to save himself and not really care about me or the kids because, we were drowning. I wanted somebody who would swim alongside of me because I knew we would hit shore.
Yeah.
But he wasn't willing to swim.
So, Bonnie, I've got some really pointed questions I have to ask you. Was there abuse, any form of abuse in the marriage?
Yes.
Okay. That's what this really is about, honey. What kind of abuse was in the marriage?
Verbal. And there was times I was put in positions that nobody should ever be put in as a wife. I was used almost as bait.
Yeah.
For things that he would want.
Yeah. That's abuse.
Yeah, that's abuse.
That's abuse. Were you sexually abused by your husband?
Indirectly, yes.
Yeah.
I was used as bait for his desire for whatever it was, for pleasure. He would dress me up how he wanted me to, and then basically we would go out, and he would try to get me to attract other people.
Wow. That is sexual abuse. That is sexual abuse. Bonnie.
Yeah.
Your expectations of a partnership were warped, honey. No one should ever put up with abuse, ever. And the reason why you got to the place where you felt like you were drowning is because you were. And your hope for him to come and stop abusing you was humanistic instead of godly.
Oh, yeah.
It's so hard.
6 years later, I found God and got it all straightened out.
Really?
Oh, really? Yeah, when finally able to get out of the relationship, it took me 6 months before I could find who I was. And it was in a day of prayer where God showed me really who I was again. You're smart, you're beautiful. And I was so excited because it was like finding me again.
Yes.
And I went to share this with him because we were still talking at the time. And he's like, oh, now you're Miss Wonderful. I mean, he just totally put me down, but it was so different. I realized now who I am in God's eyes, yes. And it didn't matter anymore what he said.
Yes.
And so I was able to go, well, okay, that's what, you don't see it. Well, too bad, bye.
Yeah.
And it was good. And I got to start to rebuild my life on the way God saw me instead of how he told me I was.
Yes.
And that has changed my life.
Yes. Knowing who you are in him.
Absolutely.
Versus your identity was in the expectation of 54 years of a successful marriage that your parents had.
Correct.
Your expectation was that because your mom and dad met in the middle, then therefore your marriage is going to meet in the middle.
Right.
And unfortunately, let me ask you something. Let's go before the marriage. Befor the marriage, okay. During the dating process. Were there any signs there that this would not be a co-mingled, labored relationship, but that it was his way or the highway?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but I had, at one point when I was younger, I'm like, I'm never going to get married. By the time I was 25, I was wanting, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be married. Mm-hmm. And so I think I had the little time thought cooking in my head because I was 29 when I married him.
And so you compromised. You compromised.
Absolutely. I know now that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
It's without a doubt, I know that. And that's not something that I'm doing anymore.
Amen. And no man should compromise. No man, no woman should compromise those important ideals. And I'm really proud of you. And Bonnie, I am so sorry that your husband sexually hurt you like that, and that that was inappropriate to use you as bait to go attract other people, to use your beauty. I know you had to have felt almost like a prostitute in some way to feed his pleasure. And it's amazing to me how we human beings can somehow submit to that when we have this goal and this expectation that is completely unrealistic. That this is what it means to be married, and this is what I have to do in order to succeed in marriage. And marriage doesn't mean that you completely lose yourself and that you lose your morals. But that marriage is to be that we protect our morals and we stand strong. So looking back, what would you say to the woman who's in that place right now, right? She's in that relationship. It's been, 20 years, just like it was for you. At what point do you feel like you should have walked out of this situation and gotten help for yourself so that he could get help for himself?
Well, the thing that's really cool along the way, once I did get away from it, God showed me the avenues that he gave me to leave.
All the years before.
I found out at that point, excuse me?
All the years before, you're saying that God gave you ways out and you didn't take them.
I didn't realize it till after I was gone.
Wow.
Like I said, I think there's a really big gap there. It has to be like you need to get out for at least 6 months before you can really start seeing things clearly. Mm-hmm. But God showed me paths and avenues that he gave me to get out, but I didn't. And that's when I realized the power of free will.
Yes.
It was my free will based on the marriage that my parents had that I stayed in that relationship when God had showed me the way out, and I refused to do it because I wasn't going to fail. Yeah. That's where I was shown the power of free will over God's will.
And it was pride. It was pride
to get me out of that situation.
Yes.
But my own will kept me in it, and that was something I had to deal with afterwards and deal with the pain of that.
Yes.
But I walked through it.
Yes. And the bottom line, the root of that free will and the choice of saying, I am going to succeed in this and I am not going to quit and I don't care what it takes, that was pride, right? My goal is my parents' marriage. You are not your mother and he was not your father, period.
That's true.
Period, right? But it is at the very core of it, we hold on to this humanistic goal higher than the knowledge of God. And look at that. I love your story. It brings tears to my eyes that he showed you, he tried to deliver you out of that bad situation for a number of years. And your pride and your own will kept you in that ridiculous place, holding out for the miracle, holding out for the change. And yeah, so the miracle and the change was that he delivered you. He delivered you. Your king came and ransomed you. He picked you out of that situation. He picked your kids out of that situation. He took you out of that place of perversion that was in that home, and he rescued you because he loves you and he adores you. And just as the women right now or the men right now who are listening to this, they're in the same situation. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
The Dani Johnson Show, helping people just like you make life more enjoyable and rewarding. The Dani Johnson Show.
Cooking healthy, simple, and inexpensive is a key part to saving money. I know how hard it is to meal plan, and it takes a lot of time. This is why you need Emails. Emails does meal planning for you. They send you written plan every week that is easy to stick to so that you buy only what you need and you save a lot of money. Emails has a team of culinary professionals and clinical dietitians who create new plans for you with healthy and delicious recipes every week. Email plans are based on food styles like clean eating, paleo, diabetic, and slow cooker. The average Emails user saves $1,000 on groceries without using the kind of money-saving tips that I teach you. What's not to love about that? Emails.com makes healthy cooking at home simple and inexpensive. You need to get Emails in your life today. Go to emails.com using the promo code DANI, that's DANI, for a special discount. You're going to love me for this. Go to emails.com. Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models?
Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you know me at all, I don't want you to spend a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and accept credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin Sykes at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He is so confident that he can save you money, he'll actually pay you $100. Listen, if you accept credit cards, check it out. Call 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. Guarantees he'll save you money or pay you $100. No risk, so why wait? Call today. It's quick to change from your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani told you to call. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709 or visit them at prestigemerchantsolutions.com.
If you're a Christian who's paying too much for healthcare, you're going to love Medishare. It's a nationwide community of believers who share each other's medical bills. It's affordable. Families average around $300 a month, and it's accepted by America's largest network of health providers. Plus, the healthcare law has a special provision for Medishare members, so you're exempt from any tax penalties. But here's the best part. Medishare is based on the timeless principles found in God's Word. You never have to pay for things that go against your beliefs. Medishare is healthcare the way God meant it to be.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your healthcare. For your free information guide, call 855-90-BIBLE. Not available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical healthcare. Call 855-90-BIBLE. That's 855-90-BIBLE.
Helping you get a grip on your priorities and your focus. The Dani Johnson Show. Here's Dani Johnson.
Has there been a lifeboat sent to you to rescue you out of a bad situation? Come on, we've all heard that Bob Hope joke, and I'm sure I'm gonna botch it up right now. But here's that man, he's stuck in the middle of the ocean and, he's about to die and he's crying out to God saying, God, please rescue me, please save me, please save me, please help me. All of a sudden the Coast Guard comes and throws out one of those little round rings trying to help you and the guy turns and he says, no, I'm waiting for God. God said he is going to save me. So then here comes a fisherman in a boat, and he's reaching out to try to save the man. And he goes, no, I don't. No, God said he's going to save me. I'm waiting for God to save me. And then a helicopter comes with, a rescue team, and they're letting themselves down with their rope and reaching out, and they've got the cage and everything ready to put you in to take you back up to safety. And you, no, I know I'm waiting for God to save me. Well, then, of course, that individual dies. And then there he is, standing face to face with God, saying, where were you? Why didn't you save me? Why didn't you rescue me? I was dying out there. He's like, what did you need, man? I sent you a Coast Guard, I sent you a fisherman, and I sent you a helicopter. What more did you need from me? Man, how many times has that been us, right? How many times? We're talking about redefining success in marriage. We're talking about the expectations that we've had, both spoken and unspoken expectations that sometimes can set us up for failure. And how do we overcome if we find ourselves in that situation like Bonnie found herself in from San Diego? This story actually has been riveting to me. On the break, I had to pull myself together after hearing this. Her husband used her as bait, dressed her up very, very pretty to bring her out in public to try to attract other people into the relationship. Her husband verbally abused her. And she said that God had finally shown her that he tried to rescue her several times out of that verbal and sexually abusive relationship. But she was holding on with her own will, her own pride, saying, no, I'm going to be like my parents who were married for 54 years. No, marriage is supposed to be give and take. And I know that he's doing all the taking, but it doesn't matter. I have to hold on to this thing. I'm going to succeed in this thing. I'm not going to fail. I want to bring Bonnie back here to find out what were some of those points of rescue, Bonnie. What were they? What that when you had finally had this revelation, then he showed you that you were his daughter, and that he loved you, and that you were beautifully formed together in your mother's womb, and that he had called you to a better life, and that abuse was not acceptable on his chosen daughter. You got the courage to leave after 20 years. But you had said that he had shown you that he tried to rescue you out many times. Give me one example and the first time that he tried to rescue you out, but you weren't listening.
The one that stands out is actually one time when we were living in Arizona, and I just did. I grabbed the kids and I drove back to San Diego. And the children were younger, and I had family all around me, and my parents were both still alive at the time. Or I think my dad was still alive. I'm not sure. My mom still was. And the kids didn't want to go back. And he called, and even though he was abusive on the phone, I was just like, I'm not going to fail. And the kids were like, Mom, I don't want to go. And my whole family was there supporting me, going, don't worry about it. We'll make it all work. Everything will be fine. But I was so stuck on, doing the right thing. I wasn't going to give up. But I went back, even though everybody
told you not to.
I had all the support in the world that I could want, and I still chose to go back. And then ended up going back to Hawaii for 7 years. That ended up being 7 years that wasn't good, and ending up in the financial ruin and everything. But I don't really care. It's not about the money. It's not about anything else, because you can always rebuild if you can do it once, just as you've done so many times, Dani. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
For doing all that you've done. You can rebuild. You can do it. You just got to put your head down and do it. And the thing I know now with God is that he is there for you every step of the way. No matter how you feel like you've been left, you haven't. And he is there, and he will bring you around. And I actually became a daughter of the Most High God. And I believe it from the core of my very soul. With 1 John 4:4, greater is he that is in me than he is of the world. I believe that at the very root of my soul. And so there's nothing now that can come against me that I know that I can't prevail over. I just know that from my heart. But that took really digging into my relationship with God. And that's the foundation of what I live on now.
Yes. And the fact is that, he says that every thought that exalts itself higher than him has to be torn down. And you exalted the expectation of you being your parents higher than his truth, and allowed yourself to be abused for all those years, but he rescued you. I can't imagine how that feels today. Please hold the line, because I want to get into that. What does it feel like to be there today? This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
The Dani Johnson Show. No excuses, no blaming, just real life. Stay tuned for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
If you know me at all, I don't want you to spend a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and accept credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin Sykes at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He is so confident that he can save you money, he'll actually pay you $100. Listen, if you accept credit cards, check it out. Call 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. Guarantees he'll save you money or pay you $100. No risk, so why wait? Call today. It's quick to change from your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Danny told you to call. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709 or visit them at prestigemerchantsolutions.com. If you love to cook, but you hate planning, you'll love emails. Emails completely removes the pressures of planning healthy and budget-friendly meals. Every week, your emails plan comes straight into your inbox with easy recipes and a shopping list. Then all the ingredients you need for yummy meals are already in the house after you go to the grocery store. And you could save an average of $1,000 this year. Emails.com makes healthy cooking inexpensive and simple. Go to emails.com and use the promo code DANNY for that exclusive discount.
Giving you the playbook to design your life. This is the Dani Johnson Show. And now, here's Dani.
Sometimes our morals can cause confusion in our lives until death do us part, right? That we're going to stay married forever. And that really is what our covenant is. That's what we're supposed to do. You can't succeed in anything in life unless you make that commitment. At the same time, we cannot control other people. You see, when I got married after knowing a guy for only 7 days, I didn't know the guy. I was dumb, all right? I got married on a whim. It was stupid. I was young. I was blind. I was impressionable. I was foolish in every way of the whole word, capitalized and bolded. But see, I made a commitment that day until death do us part. Unfortunately, my husband did not make that commitment, and I didn't know that he didn't make that commitment, but what proved that he didn't make that commitment is within 30 days, actually within 2 weeks, he brought a woman to our apartment right there in Canada and said, "Hey, I don't know how you feel about this, but would you like to join her and I for some fun?" And I looked at her, I looked at him, and I said, "What exactly do you mean?" He goes, "You know what I mean." I said, "No, thank you. That's not my idea of marriage." 2 weeks later, he cheated with his best friend's wife, and they'd only been married for 2 weeks. 3 months later, he was living with another woman. I cannot control the decisions that my husband made. And unfortunately, when we hold on, and again, I literally, like, as soon, I actually caught my husband in this adulterous relationship, a month after we were married. And this is what I said: if you confess and you tell me the truth and you tell me everything, I will forgive you and I will stay and we will work this out. And I did. He told me everything. I forgave him. We stayed together, only to end up with all of my finances completely gone. If I had left as soon as that time had happened, again, 2 weeks into the marriage, it was very, very clear that his idea of marriage was not monogamous. That his idea of marriage was multiple partners and freely having sex with whoever he wanted to have sex with. Marriage meant nothing. So, that was one sign 2 weeks into it. Then 2 weeks later, he's in a relationship, cheating on his best friend. Gosh, terrible. But I still say there was something in me because of my moral conviction of I got married, I'm going to stay married, I'm going to hold on to that. And we can hold on to something sometimes that is abusive, that is destructive. Joining me now is Bonnie. She found herself in a very same situation. Bonnie, you left this sexually abusive relationship, this verbally abusive relationship. You had the support of your children, you had the support of family years earlier. You did the same thing. You stayed, and then it turned into 7 years of ruin, including a bankruptcy, right? Worse, things
Right.
getting worse, okay? It escalated and continued to get worse. But now you're on the other side, and you said you know that you are a daughter of the Most High God. How does it feel to live in your shoes right now versus what you lived in for 20 years with all that confusion that you were living in to what you live in today? Tell me how it feels, because there's somebody listening right now that's going through what you went through, and they need that hope. Do you know what I mean? This is the Coast Guard coming to the guy that's drowning. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Tell them,
So,
how does it feel to be where you are today?
oh my gosh, it's so amazing because it's like this giant weight is lifted off of you when you begin to realize that the way that God loves you is so pure, and there's nothing that can ever interfere with it. There's nothing that you can do wrong that he won't forgive.
Yes.
You start really learning about yourself. And when you learn about yourself and how Christ sees you, you begin to realize that it's really not about you.
Yes.
And when you begin to realize it's not about you, then you can go about doing what God has put you on this planet to do, which is to help others.
Yep.
And so if by me telling my story or whatever I need to do to get other people to understand that relationship with Christ is the most important thing in your life, and once you have that, the rest of it is so much easier.
Yep.
Perfect, no. Easy, yes.
Yes.
I would say anything that I would come against now, I deal with a great deal of grace and mercy because I know he's given that to me. And it's an awesome life. Yes. Is everything perfect? No. But you know what? I can find pretty much a silver lining in anything that approaches my day on a regular basis. Yeah. Because God is in my life. Because I have a relationship with God. It's not about religion. It's totally about relationship.
Yep. Absolutely. Amen. I'm so proud of you, Bonnie. I am so, so proud of you. And I believe that you have a voice and a message. I believe that your story is one that has to be told, one that should be shared, one that needs to be heard. I believe that you are a ray of hope for people in twofold. One, clinging to something that you didn't even realize was destructive, coming out of it through the revelation of who you are in Him and how you live that out today, and the freedom, the breath of fresh air that you live with each and every day versus the pain of that oppression, the pain and the confusion. You said it best. I'm drowning and he's pushing my head under the water. And once you realize that you are loved by one much greater, so much so that he laid his life down for you, nothing can separate you from his love. And his perfect love casts out all fear. And your identity is in the right thing versus your identity being wrapped up in the success of marriage. I love it. I love it. You're a blessing. Thank you so much for sharing your story today. God bless you. Thanks for being here. We're going over to the phones on Jeff. Jeff, what was your expectations of marriage and how did that all work out?
Well, I've been married twice, and I got married at a really young age, and I never was really talked to my parents or about anything. It was just kind of, they had been married for so many years. They've now been married for 38 years.
Wow.
And I always watched them fight and make up, or, it was one of those deals where I thought when I got married, through thick and thin, we would just totally get along and we would work it out. And I was basically abandoned on my first marriage. I had no idea why she left. And it took like 15 years for me to finally figure out what truly happened. But, the expectation was, no matter how hard it got or no matter, what we dealt with, we would always pull through. And it was like the very first or second sign of trouble, she was out the door. And, I always had to promise myself I was going to get married. I was never going to get divorced. Yes. And that was pretty devastating to me.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me to trust anybody because I knew this person.
Wow.
And, we come from a very similar background. We went through, middle school and high school together, which is very, very young, very, very stupid for getting married. But, as kids, we can't be told what to do. We're going to blaze our own trail.
Yes.
And our particular personality types, which is very similar, we weren't going to listen to anybody because we knew better. Yeah. We're not going to be stupid like our parents. We're going to just do this, and we don't care what you say. That's how it was.
Gosh.
So, long story short, I went through a second marriage, and it was sad. It's because, for the 15 years, I blamed myself. I had no clue, why she left. I was like, well, maybe if I did this, or maybe if I had done that, or maybe if I said this. And I even drove 9 hours from the military base to go get her back, just for her to tell me to leave.
Wow.
And, I was, like, very adamant about not getting divorced, and she divorced me.
Wow.
It, in a sense, it ruined me for years, and it totally just it puts a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it does.
When you think
Jeff, let me ask you
married
this. You said it took you 15 years to figure out why she left. Why did she leave?
Well, just until almost, I think it was 2.5, 3 years ago, I found out she actually, she had a closet drug problem. And while I was pulling crazy duties at the military base, because that's what they do, is I'll work an 8-hour shift and I'll go pull a shift shipping people to Iraq. And during times, she was kind of lonely and she was making friends, but she was making the wrong kind of friends.
Wow.
So she rekindled a little bit of a drug habit that I had no idea that she had.
Wow.
And she went home to visit her mom and got mixed in with all of her drug friends again. It was back in the days of the raves and the ecstasy and all that crazy stuff.
Yes.
So she didn't want anything to do with me because she knew my stance on it. I have a very, very strong stance against doing drugs because I've got several family members that have been in prison for it. You know, my uncle he spent a good majority of his life being an ex-Air Force pilot. He was doing some major stuff with that, and he just recently, in his 50s, just got out of jail. So no drugs for me. She knew it was going to be an altercation, so she left. And I had no clue for 15 years that that's what she did. Wow. And she ended up.
So Jeff, what about the second marriage? We have to go to a quick break. We have to go to a quick break right now, but I want to find the common ground. What did you discover between, because you're young, 2 failed marriages. I know that it takes 2 to tango. And so what can you say, on your part, would be the thing that you are pulling out of this that's positive, that is encouraging to you to know that you learned something moving forward? This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't just stand there. Soak this up. It's joy, it's encouragement, it's insight to a better life and how to meet your obligations and overcome obstacles.
The Dani Johnson Show.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Radio talk show host Dani Johnson in Kadwa, Haiti.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson, and I'm here with Vida in her tiny little home. This home is the size of many people's closets in the United States of America. Now, we're sitting on a bed, just a piece of sheet or plastic that these beautiful babies sleep on. They have nothing. This family has nothing. No water, no food, nothing. Won't you do something? The Bible says that if you ignore the cry of the poor, then you too will cry and be ignored. They're not asking for nice clothes. They're asking for food. That's it. Food, water. You can help. We want to build her a home. We want to bring water, clean, fresh water here. But we can't do it alone. We need you.
Help us radically change a community. Go to kingsransom.org to make your donation to Kadwa, Haiti. That's kingsransom.org.
If you know me at all, I don't want you to spend a penny more than you have to on anything. This is one of those things. If you're a business owner and accept credit cards, you're paying too much unless you're working with my friend Kevin Sykes at Prestige Merchant Solutions. He is so confident that he can save you money, he'll actually pay you $100. Listen, if you accept credit cards, check it out. Call 850-200-0709. That's 850-200-0709. Kevin guarantees 5-star service. Guarantees he'll save you money or pay you $100. No risk, so why wait? Call today. It's quick to change from your current service, incredibly reliable, 24/7 support, and payments are processed quickly. Tell him Dani told you to call. There's nothing to lose. Call 850-200-0709 or visit them at prestigemerchantsolutions.com.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
My father-in-law, when I met him 23 years ago, he really impressed me. My husband hated his father with everything that was in him. You couldn't really blame him why. It wasn't anything that his father had done, but it's what his mother had said. His mom had told he and his brother his whole growing up life this story, this horrific story, and there was no defense for Hans's dad. And yet he believed everything. And then of course, truth eventually comes out. It eventually surfaces. And so when I met my father-in-law, I was impressed with how gentle he was and how he didn't blame his ex-wife. There were 2 ex-wives. And he said that it took 2 marriages for him to finally look in the mirror and take responsibility for what maybe he had done to cause these 2 women to leave in the middle of the night with his 2 children. So he had 4 children now, and he had his oldest son who hated his guts. I was really impressed with how there was no blame, but there was just straight up personal responsibility. And then, of course, I would listen to my mother-in-law, who did nothing but blame, nothing but curse the man that gave her the children that she bore. I then sat with my husband and I said, honey, you need to kind of think about this. And I explained what I was seeing here. And he says, you know what, you're right. And he began to build a relationship with his dad. He has a tighter relationship today with his father than he does with his mother. His dad started fresh with his adult son because he wasn't able to raise a son because the mother took off with the kids and, kidnapped them, actually. It's a long story, but the point is that if we've suffered through 2 marriages, we know that it takes 2. I know that there's bad circumstances that happen, and what we just finished hearing from Jeff, that his wife that he married when they were young, they were together since they were in the 7th grade, that, he didn't know about a drug problem, and she up and left with this drug problem, knowing that it would be over if Jeff had found out about it. But then Jeff winds up in a second marriage. And so, Jeff, what would you say? Was there any common denominator in both the marriages that caused both marriages to fail? And for the reason of this, not for you being put down or shamed, for the reason of this, you're still young. You're a bachelor. You are able to get married and have children. And so these are 2 learning experiences, 2 traumas, 2 trials. If we don't learn from those things, we don't pull a takeaway, we don't take something that we can go, okay, I learned this in this experience, and this is what I could have done differently, or this is what I should have done differently, and I'm pulling that into the next relationship. So what would you say that is? Was it partially on the first marriage? You got married too young. You already said it. You didn't listen to anybody. Yeah. You were going to prove everybody wrong, right? People probably told you you shouldn't get married. People probably told you that maybe you should wait. But you guys were completely unteachable, stiff-necked, rebellious, right? And that also communicated something to your wife. You said she knew that if you found out that she was doing drugs, that was a no-go. It's over. It's done. So she rejected you before she got the chance to be rejected by you. And that's very common. Very, very common. Yeah. So what is the common denominator in the second marriage that you will learn from and not pull into another relationship?
Well, it was filling the void, because after that first divorce, there was a lot of pain and a lot of other failed relationships. And it was after the second divorce, the second failed marriage, that I realized I've never involved God in my marriage. I never was married in a church. Even though I've been a Christian, I was baptized at 5, and, I had went to the courthouse to get married both times. Yeah. And I was like, man.
You didn't follow his way. Yep.
No, I totally didn't follow his law. So it was mainly just filling a void of the flesh and not fulfilling, biblical marriage at all. Yeah. And I was looking back, and I'm like, man, my parents never talked to me about it, and I really wish that I had, saved myself for marriage, had learned all that stuff. It would have been amazing to find. Some teachings on that.
So moving forward in the next relationship, you're not going to have sex with the girl that you're going to marry before you marry her. You're going to ask permission. You are going to have premarital counseling to learn how to get the skills to function in marriage properly. You're actually going to let God pick your wife. You're actually going to seek him with fear and trembling, saying, Lord, I do not want to mess this up again. You have to make it really obvious. Shut the door if this is not the girl. Make it very, very obvious. And you'll trust him and not rebel against him. Those are the things that you pulled from those 2. And by the way, those are awesome lessons. Those are awesome experiences. Those are beautiful things to pull out of two bad situations to set you up for success in the future. It's about healthy boundaries, honor, respect. And even then, there's still going to be challenges, but it's making sure there's full communication with the other person and looking for the signs to not marry the person versus looking for the signs to marry the person. Because you looked for the signs to marry the person and wouldn't listen to the signs not to in the past. So now we know. All right, this is my weakness, and I'm going to hedge my weakness with accountability of other people around me. I love it. Jeff, I'm proud of you. I really, really am. Thanks so much for sharing that story. We've got Diane on the phone from Laverne, California. What was your expectations of marriage? And how did that all work out?
Well, hi, Dani. You actually know, I had the pleasure of meeting you a few times, my husband Kevin and I. Mm-hmm. And you've heard a little bit about our story, about our days of partying, and we overcame some, pretty powerful addictions in the early parts of our marriage. But I think that when we got married, our expectation was that it was always just going to be a big party. So as long as you don't change me and I don't change you, and we can just keep doing our thing, we'll have a happy marriage. So that didn't work very long. I think about year 4, we were headed for the divorce, and we were introduced to the Bible, and, we became Christians. So our addictions are gone.
You stopped the drugs. Whoops, I'm a Christian now. I probably shouldn't do drugs anymore.
Off the drugs. Life, we went through a life-changing experience, but the expectations are still the biggest issue every day. So they're different expectations, but expectations are still like kind of where we have the biggest bumps in our relationship. Yeah. But I didn't really have much of an expectation of marriage because both of us came from divorced families. Yeah. So we really kind of walked into the whole thing blindly and just we're having a good time. So we thought we'd just have a good time forever. That was kind of
and then here comes the kids, and then here comes the house, and here comes the financial problems, and this is not a party anymore.
Not a party.
And this is not an escape.
It was just kind of walking too blindly, to be honest.
Yeah, I know.
I did have some expectations of just this amazing love.
I know.
Gosh.
And it's not that we don't have moments of that. It's not that we don't have seasons of that. But the reality is when our expectations are set like that when the hard times come, we're like crushed, or we're mad, we're angered, we're frustrated, we're enraged. But it's only because we had false expectations. No, life is not always going to be a party. No, marriage isn't always going to be awesome 100% of the time forever. And if anyone tells you that they're lying. They are lying, they're lying, they're lying. Oh my gosh, anytime you take two humans and you throw them together with all of their history, with all their junk, with all their past, you're gonna have problems. But that doesn't mean that you can't overcome. Outside of abuse of each other, there still can be healing even there. I hope that today was helpful and beneficial for you. Redefining success today was about marriage because marriage affects finances, business, and everything else. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow with another exciting topic. God bless you. Have an awesome one.
We welcome you to join us right back here again. Until then, make the most of life. You've been listening to The Dani Johnson Show.
Is God calling you to the entertainment industry? Do you want to rise for Him? Do you want to be an actor, model, singer, or dancer and shine for God? Do you think the world needs better role models? Do you want to be a star for the Most High God? Actors, models, and talent for Christ is coming to a city near you. A new generation of Christian performers is rising. Call 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. God gave you talent for a reason, and that is to shine for Him. So we are searching for actors, models, singers, and dancers. Go to amtcaudition.com to find out when and where the next free audition will be held. Entertainment is the best opportunity for Christians to change the world, and the time is now. Are you ready for that call? 800-STAR-420 or go to amtcaudition.com. That's actors, models, and talent for Christ. Register for your audition today.
You tell yourself that life isn't that bad. You relish the small pleasures. Drive-through coffee, big screen TV, vacations bought on credit cards. But that's as good as life gets unless you take a leap of faith. This is millionaire author, radio and television show host Dani Johnson, inviting you to join me for 2 days where you will acquire the skills to make the life you crave a reality. Call now 844-200-DANI or visit firststepstosuccess.com.